So instead of this absolute disaster of factory stuff, see this hose? And now that's the replacement, new bolts, new actual fittings on the front for the AN, and no tube. The tube used to bolt into right here. Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to convert my car from rubber line to braided line for my cooling system, and it is going to look so good and perform and be very easy to install. It's gonna be so sick. First things first, I got my line and literally I can stick my thumb in it. It is so big, so that is good. This is -16, so it is huge. I'm gonna have to convert all my fittings here from the hose to an actual threaded bung for an AN fitting. And I have 4 of them. There's 2 on this side, and then there's 2 on this side too. I've already done this before, but I'm converting and I'm not turning back now. So instead of this absolute disaster of factory stuff, see this hose? That's where the thermostat is. And now that's the replacement, new bolts, new actual fittings on the front for the AN, and no tube. The tube used to bolt into right here, and I completely X-nayed that, so it's all gonna be braided line. It looks much better. And I'm also going to have to cut and weld my factory stuff on the engines and weld bungs. So, and then it'll be converted to an AN after I'm done with it. So I've actually got to redo things I've already done. I put this onto the engine, it needs to come off. And I've also got to redo these. I made these a while ago and no good. I've got to weld an actual threaded bung onto here. It's way down in there. I'm gonna have to take it off and then I can weld that bung onto it. Sweet, so this is the massive bung that I'm going to be welding on the end of each of these. This is one for the rear engine. This is literally where my fill neck would be. And I have to weld that threaded guy onto here, and I will be cutting it off right at that flange line, and same with this one. So this is the front engine one, this is the rear, and then these are the other parts of the coolant system. So I'm gonna cut these straight with this circle and then weld them on as well, and that'll be good. And then for the rad, I have 4 inlets. I have 2 inlets and 2 outlets for this rad, and they are here. So I've marked where I'm gonna cut them and put the bung on. And same with this side, but down there, I'm gonna have a lot of trouble because I'm so close to the frame here, so I'm gonna have to do some maneuvering, but I've got a lot of fab to do right now, and I'm gonna get right to it. All right, so I got all the fittings I am going to weld together. So these are going to go on the ends here, and then these are also gonna go to the ends of the rad, and I'm also welding these caps on as well, and then these are obviously getting the 16s as well. Looking good. So all this stuff is ready to go. These are just bolt on obviously, but these ones I have to actually weld to the rad. That's why I made this extension here, so it's easier to unbolt and bolt up. So that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add those ones on, and these ones are just gonna get welded to the top. They already have the spout, so I'm gonna weld those, and then I'm well on my way. Well then, and that looks sick. So I got all my AN16s fully welded on, and I'm gonna check for leaks quick, but doesn't look like that's gonna leak. Now I'm gonna install it onto the engine, and there's where my thermostat goes, and it's just gonna pop right on there. So instead of this absolute disaster of factory stuff, see this hose? That's where the thermostat is. And now that's the replacement, new bolts, new actual fittings on the front for the AN, and no tube. The tube used to bolt into right here, and I completely X-nayed that, so it's all gonna be braided line. Look at that. Much more professional, and it's looking tight. It is definitely looking tight. I got it onto the engine that is in the car as well, and that's looking good too. Huge amount of cooling capacity coming from that. That is gonna be so sweet. So next step, I'm gonna throw the rad in, and then I'm gonna start actually hooking up some lines and making them custom line, figuring out how I'm gonna do this. I've never done this before with such thick line. This is dash 16. So here is the in for my coolant system for this engine. It's gonna be on the top here. And as you can see, I've got another one down there, but I'm gonna leave that for the back engine. So I'm gonna have the top 2 in and outs for the front engine. So everything is very simple. So this is gonna go to here, and then this is going to go into here. So that is quite a little bit of an S it's gonna have to do, but I'm gonna see what I can do here. And again, there's one on the bottom here as well that I've welded on like you saw me do, and that is for the back engine as well. Woohoo! That is looking sexy. So this is what I'm thinking for fittings. This is a 45 and this is a dead straight, and I want to connect these two with a braided line that is AN16. So I'm gonna see if the line will actually do that turn. So this is my first one I'm doing, and I'm going to give that a try right now and mock this up with an actual cut piece, and I'm gonna see if it's gonna work. It needs to have slack. So, because if this was a dead straight away here, it would actually not work because the engine torques up. So when the engine actually moves in the engine bay, the engine torques, which it will be, with all the power it's gonna be making, it'll pull and push. So the line has to be able to pull and push at least ½ an inch each way, or it'll pull on the rad. So if this was just a straight shot, it would pull the rad this way, or pull the hoses off, or slowly rack the hoses, but it has to be done right. From what I've encountered, I'm not gonna be able to put it from this bung to this bung because it's too short. There's only gonna be a few inches of actual hose, and it's not gonna have enough room to have the engine move around. So I'm gonna put this to the bottom hose down there. So I'm just gonna come out straight and 90 it down, and it'll have lots of movement up and down, left and right, and it should be good to go. And then for the other side of the engine, I'm going to run a 45, I believe, or 90. And then way in there, I'm going to run a 45 as well. And I'm gonna start with that end and then try and get this guy up.
That the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it.
There, so I got my 2 done. So this is just for the front engine, and I ended up doing them to the bottom, so I actually get a little bit of slack for the engine to move around. Same with downtown there. Goes way up into there. Looking really good. Looking very professional, which is nice.